We begin with the fallout over the newly released Epstein files and what it means for President Trump. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins us. So thank you so much for being here. Reading through these documents, of which there are thousands, what are some of the main takeaways right now about Epstein, how he felt about President Trump, and any insight into their relationship?
Lindsay, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that Jeffrey Epstein called himself the one able to take him down. He hints that he has damaging information about Donald Trump. He also alludes to the fact that Trump spent time in his home. In one email to author Michael Wolff, he wrote, "Of course he knew about the girls," something that Trump has said he was not aware of. So there are emails here that claim that Trump has more knowledge than he has said. They don't say that he was necessarily a participant in these activities, but there's also clearly a lot of animosity here. Epstein is tracking Trump very closely over the years, and there's some real insulting emails. He calls him borderline insane in an email to former Harvard president Larry Summers. He also says to him, "I've met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body." So yes, dangerous.
And House Democrats say that Epstein's longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell and co-conspirator plans to ask President Trump to commute her sentence. Where is she mentioned in these documents?
So she came to light in a key email that came out yesterday. It was one of these first batches that we saw from 2011. In it, Epstein writes to her that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. He says that Virginia Giuffre spent time with Trump at Epstein's house. Again, something Trump has said he did not do. Also, when Ghislaine Maxwell was interviewed by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche over the summer, that was that private interview. We later got the transcript, and in it she says that she didn't ever recall seeing Trump at Epstein's house. So we're now seeing some potentially contradictory information here. She also comes up in an exchange from 2015. This was after Virginia Giuffre, one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims who committed suicide in the spring, had just filed a lawsuit alleging that Maxwell and Epstein groomed and sexually abused her. And in it, Lindsay, they seem to be coordinating their public responses. And she writes to Epstein, "I have to distance myself from you in my statement. But since that interview with Todd Blanche, she's been moved to a nicer prison. And it's said that she's getting preferential treatment and putting together that application to potentially commute her sentence."
Katrina Kaufman, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's bring in CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. Weijia, how is President Trump reacting to this renewed focus on the Epstein files and his upcoming vote in the House?
Well, President Trump is not reacting, really. He is simply trying to discredit all of the emails that have come out, the documents, and trying to shift the narrative, Lindsay. Yesterday, he wanted to focus on the government shutdown. He did issue a couple Truth Social posts slamming the Democrats and this effort that the White House calls a campaign to spin a false narrative about Trump and to smear him. But I do think it's very telling because it's so rare for President Trump not to take questions. And of course, we all saw him sign that funding bill into law to reopen the government last night from inside the Oval Office. And he didn't take a single question, not even about the shutdown. And reporters tried to shout questions about Epstein, but he did not engage. And then today there was one open event with President Trump, and he didn't take questions either. I will say during that event, it was very formal with tons of people packed into the East Room here at the White House. And typically he doesn't take questions in that setting, but he has before. All that to say that he would like this story to go away, as would White House officials, who of course are defending him and criticizing Democrats for bringing these emails into light, but again, are really trying to focus on other parts of the president's agenda.
All right, Weijia Jiang, thank you. CBS News Chief Washington analyst Robert Costa joins us now. So why is this an issue uniquely important to both the MAGA base and Democrats?
It's good to be with you. For Democrats, this is about holding President Trump to account. They are in the minority in both the Senate and the House of Representatives, and they're looking for many fronts, whether it's health care or the Epstein files, as a way to pressure this presidency and try to get some traction for the party ahead of the 2026 midterms, and to show their own voters that when it comes to the disclosure of this case at the Justice Department level, the Democrats are trying to pursue more information. For Republicans, this comes back to a growing trend on the right over the past decade or so, where they have really focused more and more, based on my reporting, on the alleged conduct of different officials across the board, Democrats and Republicans, about wealthy people business leaders. And Jeffrey Epstein has become perhaps the focus for so many Republican voters who see him as an emblem of all that's wrong with the perceived legal and political and cultural establishment, in the sense that they believe he got away with crimes, even though he was convicted and ultimately served time.
Is this becoming something the president feels is getting away from him or could be a detriment to his administration?
President Trump is telling his allies and his own advisors at the White House that he has nothing to hide here. You keep hearing from the White House the same refrain, that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for his conduct, and they had a falling out years ago. And that has been the line from the White House press secretary and so many others around President Trump, who know that there is a lot of pressure for more information, for more discussion of this issue, but you see them trying to move on.
Republican Congresswomen Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert have both been outspoken on releasing the files, despite their strong support for President Trump. What does it mean for them to break with the president on this?
For President Trump, he has been someone who is a bit nonchalant about Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and her recent activity. He has said, I'm not really sure what's going on with her. She has been a longtime ally, and he seems a tad perplexed about her latest political opposition to him, especially on the Epstein front. President Trump has long maintained his innocence in terms of his own conduct with people at his club or in any kind of New York or Palm Beach culture.
Robert Costa, thank you so much.
Thank you.